Dr Ben Spencer.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I beg to move new clauses 29, 30, 31, 32, and Amendments 65, 66 and 67 in my name. My mission is to keep Runnymede and Weybridge moving. Rail and transport locally is very important to us. We are situated within London commuter belt. We have a tenth of the M25 running through my constituency, along with the M3, and Egham is 5 miles away from Heathrow. We have companies who are established because of our transport connections, but also companies which deliver services linked to transport, such as logistics. So I have tabled a series of amendments to this bill with a view of improving services and transport, not only in my constituency, but they will have effects across the country, as we've already heard from colleagues. And I'd like to thank the members of Broxbourne and Bridgewater for referencing some of my amendments in their speeches today. If Madam Deputy Speaker is not minded to grant divisions on these amendments, at the very least I hope that the Minister will be minded to support them, not least in the spirit of improving the rail service across the country, but also perhaps to stop having to listen to me rattle on about the level crossings in Egham and other problems in my constituency. I think a key strength of this bill has been said by several ministers, which is that the buck stops with them. I believe the Secretary of State said the buck stops with her. I think Lord Hendy, when he met with him, the buck stops with him. I think that's a key improvement in terms of the previous system, where we had a separation of SWR and Network Rail. Now we have a clear person and organisation to go to raise issues with problems with regards to rail and infrastructure in our constituencies. The first new clause I'd like to talk to is new clause 29, which it gives Secretary of State the power to direct GBR to cooperate with transport authorities to ensure the effective operation of transport networks and reduce disruption. The reason for this is because it does not make sense at the same time that someone closes a motorway or closes an arterial road to have engineering works happen on the railway at the same time. It does not make sense to have multiple pockets of utility works around Chertsey, where I live, all at the same time. We need better coordination between all bodies to make sure, A, it doesn't all happen at the same time, but B, if a utility company is going to open the road to do works on, let's say, the water, why not fix the gas or the electricity or lay down the broadband at the same time? New clause 30 relates to an accessible rail strategy. This affects many stations across our country. Frankly, I think it's scandalous that we have such accessibility problems, but particularly in my constituency, there is a focus in terms of the Weybridge lifts, which I have been, again, going on about for many years now, which frequently break down, affecting many passengers across Weybridge. And I'd like to give a shout out to Tim Blanchard, who's a wheelchair user who has led a campaign to try and improve the Weybridge lifts. They're going to be replaced, I'm promised, this summer, which will finally see an end, we hope, to the Weybridge saga. But we need more, and this accessible rail strategy, I hope, will prevent other colleagues having the same problems we have had locally. Very happy to give way to my colleague.
I'm grateful to my honourable friend for tabling new clause 30. Has he been offered any explanation from the Minister or any part of the ministerial team as to why they won't accept his new clause?
Dr Ben Spencer.
I thank him for his intervention. Well, I hope we will hear from the Minister as to why he may or may not accept this new clause. I hope he ends up doing so. In the previous government, the Weybridge lift was notorious in the Department of Transport. I see some colleagues nodding because of the problems that we had there. So I hope that it will lose its notoriety going forwards as the lifts are replaced. New Clause 31 sets out requirements for GBR to ensure planned changes to passenger services are made with due consideration of objectives and following communication with stakeholders. This refers to an issue during summer 25 where services were cut during the summer holidays, quieter off services, which included services from Chertsey between 7 and half, impacting people's ability to get to work. Feedback from stakeholders is important because, after all, it's a service for our citizens. New Clause 32 It requires Secretary of State to review provision of rail infrastructure and services before an application of nationally significant infrastructure can be approved. The third runway at Heathrow, it looks is going to go ahead. I oppose it, but if it goes ahead, we need to make sure that we have improvements in terms of rail infrastructure locally, which is already creaking, particularly surface access transport, which brings me nicely on to Amendments 66 and Amendments 65 and 67, which I know we've all been waiting for, around the level crossings. Egham is punished day in, day out with level crossings with excessively long downtimes. This is unacceptable. It needs to change. We need one, if not more, of the level crossings to be removed. I'd like to see if the third runway ends up going ahead, that is linked to funding coming out of Heathrow or otherwise, so that we can get Egham moving. I'm grateful for the minor improvements that are going to be made by SWR and SWR's engagement on this, but please, please, please help me get Egham and Runnymede and Weybridge moving.